Good morning, everyone. Hi, Eric.
Hey Dan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad I was able to get the link to work. So it
Yeah.
wasn't just your email. So you sent it to my other email, and I couldn't send it from one email to the other email to get it on my computer. But I did some nifty work and figured out a way to get the link on my computer so I could attend this meeting.
Yeah, to
Good.
manipulate the system a little bit.
I did. I did.
Recording in progress.
So can you mute that? I kind of have crisis going on this morning. So I'm going to introduce quickly my co-chair, Catherine Richardson, who actually used to run this meeting when we first started it. So I'm going to kind of hand it over her to host this particular meeting. I got to take care of this crisis. I shouldn't be long, but I will be back. So please welcome Catherine. She's awesome.
Good
Hi.
Good morning, Catherine.
Um, Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. If you could put your contact information in the chat, that would be great, so I can make sure I have everybody's contact. I'm trying to make a resource guide for our area. So just having everybody's information would be really helpful.
Catherine, I'll send you the chat.
Today we have a presenter from Pyramid, who they've just recently taken over operations at Mountaineer Recovery Center. So Eric and I got to meet with Dan on Wednesday, Tuesday. I don't know, the week is starting to run together. And find out they have a lot of new information that you guys, I think, will benefit from hearing. And so I'm glad he's here today to share with all of you. So I'm going to shut up and let him do the talking.
Thank you, Catherine. I don't know what day it was either. It was one of the days this week. So really appreciate you and Eric inviting me to be here. I did a similar presentation yesterday for a different group, and I see that some of the people on this call were on that call. So you're going to be sick of hearing from me pretty soon. So I'll try not to be too repetitive from yesterday, but I know there are some other new folks on here who I've never met, who hopefully find some of this information beneficial. But so as Catherine mentioned, Pyramid did acquire Mountaineer Recovery Center, and Mountaineer joined the Pyramid family as of February 1st. And we've been working with Mountaineer for several months prior to that. But my experience in West Virginia and in the Eastern Panhandle goes back about a year, because we also have another property in the Eastern Panhandle where we had identified we would be offering treatment services prior to any conversations with Mountaineer. And therefore, I started about a year ago reaching out to various stakeholders around the state, but particularly in the counties of the Eastern Panhandle, forming relationships and really attempting to learn what some of the dynamics of the region are as it relates to treatment, recovery, prevention, anything that touches substance use disorders, and got a lot of really good feedback. Most of all, what I've learned is that there's a really strong recovery community and treatment community, and a lot of people that really care a lot about solving problems related to substance use issues and co-occurring disorders and mental health in West Virginia, and particularly in this region. So I've been really excited to have conversations with people throughout the region, and would be really excited to speak to many of you individually outside of this meeting, and learn more about what your role is and what your organization does, and how we can work together to help solve problems. That's what we want to do at Pyramid. So I mentioned that we've been working on this other property for about a year. I can talk more about that property. It's in Hedgesville. We plan to have a large residential treatment program there. And then we also are now operating Mountaineer Recovery Center which is in Kearneysville. I would imagine that most of you are either aware of what Mountaineer does or have had some sort of interaction or some sort of knowledge of Mountaineer, but I can just give a quick overview of that. I think it is important, though, with Pyramid being new to the region, to just introduce myself and introduce Pyramid and let you know what we're all about and how we got here. So Pyramid, so first of all, Dan Gelman, I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Business Development for Pyramid. I've been with the organization for almost 11 years now. And so I've been fortunate enough to work in a variety of different states and regions and represent treatment programs of different levels of care and treatment programs that treat different populations. But one of the things that we've done for the past 25 years, so we started 25 years ago in central Pennsylvania, and we started with the idea that we wanted to create continuums of care, robust continuums of care for individuals suffering with substance use disorders as a primary diagnosis, who generally speaking lacked the ability to access quality care. And a lot of that comes from lacking funding sources. So we're talking about individuals who have Medicaid or have no insurance at all. And we're talking about individuals who, because of proximity to treatment and where they live geographically, maybe they live in rural areas, had no means of accessing care. And so over these past 25 years, we built that first program, but started to quickly expand because we were able to bring access to this type of individual. And we quickly found out that there was a huge demand to meet the needs of various types of treatment for people that had no insurance or Medicaid or needed transportation or things like that. So fast forward 25 years, we've built out programs throughout 9 states. So West Virginia is our 9th state. Primarily what we have are full continuums of care for that same client, for the substance use primary client, all levels of care from detox to residential, all the way down to IOP and outpatient. And however, we've obviously grown outside of Pennsylvania, so we take Medicaid in a number of different states, but we've also expanded to also taking commercial insurance and a variety of different funding sources. And we also take individuals who have primary mental health disorders and eating disorders. So we've organized our organization in a couple of different divisions, really focused on the type of client that we treat. The division that I spend my time on, and the division that would encompass Mountaineer and all of our treatment in West Virginia right now, would be what we call our Medicaid division. So primarily at Mountaineer and at our what we're calling Pyramid Martinsburg, our large campus in Hedgesville, we'll be able to accept individuals with West Virginia Medicaid. That doesn't mean that we won't take people with commercial insurance. What it means is that we want there to be zero barriers for anyone in West Virginia who needs treatment, regardless of what their funding is. So we want to be able to take people with commercial insurance. We want to be able to take people with Medicaid, want to be able to take people without Medicaid. We want to be able to take people who find themselves in West Virginia, but they have Maryland Medicaid or they have Virginia Medicaid. We want to be able to take all those various types of funding. So by having this mentality, it's really helped us to grow our services. We have about 1,800 beds now overall. About 220 of those either are or will be in the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia. So it's really exciting. A lot of good growth and access to care will be there for you and for the clients that you all encounter. So really exciting. But anyway, we have 1,800 beds overall. And at any given time in our continuums of care, we have about 14,000 unique clients. So I say this just to say that we have a lot of experience in doing what we're doing now and what we're attempting to do more of in West Virginia. So we're new to West Virginia, but we're not new at providing solutions for clients that need help. And now, given that we are new in West Virginia, I want to rely heavily on feedback from people like you on how we can best serve these communities. So please do reach out, and I will put my information in the chat. So let me just give a little bit more information on what it all looks like specific to West Virginia, starting with Mountaineer. So we did take ownership of Mountaineer on February 1st. And since then, we really haven't changed much of anything. We've really just been observing internally and getting feedback externally and understanding what works well. There are things that are working really well, and where are the opportunities to make improvements so that we can be great partners for other stakeholders, and so that we can provide great treatment for the clients in our care, and create good continuity of care for when they leave and go back to community members and organizations like yourselves. So what it looks like now is that we are licensed for 80 beds. 9 of those are licensed for detox, and 71 of those are licensed for residential treatment. We're licensed for detox, but Mountaineer has never operated detox. And so what we're working on now is getting staffing in place and getting some of the behind the scenes logistics in place so that we can offer detox. That should be done in the month of May. So we've got a little bit of time there. But once that's done, we should be able to offer quick and easy access to care for individuals who need detox. And I'll talk about what quick and easy access to care means in a few minutes. So there's the 9 detox beds that are not online yet, but then the 71 residential beds that are, and those are being operated at the 3.5 residential level of care and the 3.1 level of residential care. So that's basically your shorter term and your longer term. Your shorter term is about 28 days, and your longer term is 2 to 3 months on average. From there, we need to come up with aftercare plans and partner with individuals like yourselves on good plans. So in a nutshell, that's Mountaineer. We're working on our CARF accreditation right now. They were never CARF accredited. And so our goal is to get that done as quickly as possible. Every other program at Pyramid is CARF accredited. Once we are accredited, we will have the opportunity to contract with commercial payers, so we can take commercial insurance, and to contract with Medicaid in other states. Right now, we're just contracted with West Virginia Medicaid. So if you have someone with West Virginia Medicaid who needs residential treatment, we would love to take that referral today. And generally speaking, right now, we do still have some limited access because we haven't changed much. But we can probably get that person in within a couple of days for residential. How do I define good access to care? It's not a couple of days. So we're working on the staffing needed, and we're working on creating the processes, and we're working on integrating Mountaineer processes and procedures in with Pyramid's existing processes and procedures, which will result in 24/7 access to our call center. So if you pick up the phone, if a client picks up the phone and says, I need treatment now, someone at Pyramid will pick up that call and facilitate that admission 24 hours a day. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday, doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m. or if it's New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. We will pick up the phone and we will schedule that admission for clients who are appropriate. So that's the first piece. The second piece is we will then have, so we provide transportation services. Pyramid has about 110 vehicles. We have about we don't have 110 drivers, but we're staffing up to get there. And we will deploy one of our vehicles to go pick up that client and bring them into care. We also have a bedboard system to really carefully manage the utilization of our beds. So typically, once we get going on our bedboard system and once we have detox, we're able to get someone into care on average within about 12 hours. So good access to care for us is same-day admissions. We'd like it to be done within a couple of hours. A lot of clients say to us, we don't want to admit for another day or two or three. So on average, throughout Pyramid's greater continuum, we're admitting people within 12 hours. And that's what we plan to accomplish with Mountaineer and with our programs in West Virginia. We're not there yet. So over the next, I would give it 60 days, give or take, we plan to get there, especially by the time we have detox beds online. In the meantime, call our admissions line. We'll get someone in as fast as possible. And if it's not fast enough, call me and I'll see if anything can be done. And I'll put my information in the chat. So in a nutshell, that's Mountaineer. I'll also give a quick overview of the facility or the campus in Hedgesville. So this was a former Salvation Army Boy Scout camp that housed about 300 Boy Scouts. So it's on 160 acres in the mountains in Hedgesville. It is an absolutely beautiful campus. And there are multiple buildings and different facilities that when we use it for a treatment program, will provide us with a lot of flexibility on what programs we can offer, because you have different, let's say, different units that are small that could be used, let's say, for gender separated programs or age specific programs or trauma specific programs or co-occurring specific program, any number of veterans programs, any number of different things where we can really customize the care, which will be really good for clients. Phase 1 of this project will probably launch over the summer with, at first, probably 26 beds, and then ultimately up to 42 beds. So phase 1 will be really 42 beds by summer, and those will be at the residential levels of care. Our goal is really going to be all detox services at Mountaineer, and then anything happening on this campus would be residential. So starting with the 3.5 and 3.1 levels of care, and then moving forward, we'll expand from those initial 42 beds all the way up to 140 beds. It's hard to say exactly what the breakdown of those beds will be. We have the opportunity to understand what community demand is right now at Mountaineer and understand what's the demand for females versus males, what's the demand for levels of care, what's the demand for detox. We're currently licensed for 9 detox beds. We'll get up and running with 9, but we have the opportunity to grow that number as high as we need to, within reason. So we can grow the number of detox beds we offer from 9. We'll almost definitely grow to 20 or 21. And then from there, we'll settle in there and see if we need more. If we need more, we can do that. So all of our detox will be there, but then the breakdown of male and female, if we want to, we can have all female residential at Mountaineer and all male residential at the Hedgesville property. That would be a really nice breakdown of, and we do see a lot more male demand so far at Mountaineer. So we can have 140 males in residential, and then the balance of female residential at Mountaineer to go with detox. So the timeline for to build out to the 140 beds is a little bit further out. We have quite a bit of work to do in order to get to that place, but we will be able to get to 42 beds by summertime. I think it's a good time to stop and see if anyone has questions or feedback. Like I said, I've gathered a lot of feedback, both on just what the needs are in the community, and then on what it's been like to work with Mountaineer for the past couple of years. I feel like we have good plans in place to be really good partners as it relates to creating access to care, as it relates to providing good communication moving forward when you have a client with us at Mountaineer. And I'm learning about the different stakeholders in the community and how we can be good partners specifically for each stakeholder. But there's a lot more that we need to learn. So I hope to have lots of fruitful conversations with everybody moving forward. So does anyone have any questions or feedback or comments? So one other thing that I'm looking at my notes here, I should talk about criminal justice, given Melissa has a question. Melissa, let me just make this point, and then I'll and then we can go to your question. We see a lot of clients coming through the criminal justice system already at Mountaineer, but in Pyramid in general, we see so many clients coming from jails or probation or various criminal justice channels that we've built out specific admissions processes for that type of referral. And so once we do transition to the full Pyramid call center, we have a portion of that call center dedicated. It's our criminal justice team within the call center. And so anyone here that is that works in a jail setting or a criminal justice setting would have the direct line, and you'd get to know that criminal justice team, and all they do all day long is criminal justice referrals, and they're very familiar with the processes, and so that's hopefully a benefit to you. And the other thing is just criminal justice specific programming at the sites, understanding what that transition looks like, and customizing treatment around that transition from a jail situation back to becoming a member of society, living independently, looking for housing and a job and relationships and those sorts of things. So now I'll go back. Melissa, did you still have a question?
I do. Thank you. I know you mentioned you're in multiple states. We work across 3 states, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, primarily Maryland and West Virginia, Mineral County. What are the other states that you're in that you have facilities in?
Absolutely. So we've got a large presence in Pennsylvania where we first started. We have about 1,000 inpatient beds in Pennsylvania, plus a variety of outpatient services, as well as methadone programs. We should probably talk offline separately, and I can get into some more detail and connect you to some of our team members there, because we do have programs in areas that are close to West Virginia on the Pennsylvania side. So we're in
yeah.
Okay.
I'll reach out. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I'll reach out to you because I definitely want to chat more, because we work in all the things you're talking about, criminal justice, all of it. And a lot of times, obviously we like to, some people want to go far, far away too. So, yeah.
Sure.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Thank you.
No, that's okay. So in addition to Pennsylvania, we're in Connecticut, New Jersey, a pretty large presence in Maryland, and growing. We've got 170 beds now in Maryland, all accepting Medicaid, and we're growing up to close to 300 beds. So we can definitely be a resource there. We're in Virginia. We've got about 300 beds in Virginia. We've got North Carolina, Georgia, and West Virginia, and Ohio. Ohio, we just have outpatient. So that's 9. But we do, so even though right now we can't take Pennsylvania Medicaid, Virginia Medicaid, or Maryland Medicaid at Mountaineer, we can take them at our existing facilities. So we'd be happy to help you with those too.
No other questions? I'm just I drilled you the other day with my thousands of questions. Anybody else have any? I know that so Eric covers Potomac Highlands Regional Jail, and our other peer Larry covers Eastern Regional Jail. And between those 2 facilities, just last month we sent 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 people to Mountaineer Recovery. So every month we send people to Mountaineer Recovery from those two jails. I know it's a great resource because it's really the only inpatient treatment center we have in the Eastern Panhandle. Otherwise, we have to send them. Morgantown would be like the next closest if it's going to be in the state of West Virginia. So Mountaineer Recovery is a great resource for our region. And I just thank everybody in your staff for everything they do.
Absolutely. And so I really appreciate it. I want to reiterate that they're doing a lot of really good things at Mountaineer, and our goal when they joined the Pyramid family was not to blow anything up. I mean, it's just that they felt like there was opportunity for them to do a whole lot more by being part of a larger organization. And that what that means is as a one standalone program, it's very hard to offer 24/7 call center services or have a fleet of 110 vehicles. And those are things that you can access as being part of a large organization. So the treatment program is solid. And Catherine, I appreciate your feedback on that.
I do just want to say thank you because West Virginia is in desperate need and you guys are like just nailing some obstacles that our clients have, being able to come and pick them up, and that's just amazing. So I just wanted to say thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Hey, Dan, I'm Krisha. I'm with the Reach Initiative, and we're kind of the hosts of all of the reentry councils. I think I've seen you speak at a couple others, but I wanted to extend the invitation that if you want to speak at any of the other, there are 21. So if I get your contact information, if you want to drop that in the chat, I can send out that if you want to, speak to any of the other councils to get more information out.
That would be great. Right now, we're primarily serving clients that are right in the Eastern Panhandle, but we do have more capacity, and there's a lot of barriers to care for clients who live in counties around the state. And one of the things that we hope to do is the state's large, and there are parts of the state that are 6 hours away. So that's a challenge from a transportation standpoint. But we hope to be able to find some solutions to that where we can still go pick that client up and get them into care. So yeah, I'll put my information in the chat for sure. We're going to be onboarding a new community outreach representative for Pyramid Healthcare in West Virginia within the next 2 weeks, and so I'm kind of doing a lot of this from afar, but this is someone that lives in the Eastern Panhandle and probably has relationships with some of you already, and will be your on the ground go-to. So once she starts, I'll make sure that she reaches out to everybody as well.
Thanks again, Dan. No more, any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Thanks,
okay.
everyone.
Thank you, Dan. So Krisha and Eric and I got to meet the other day and talk about some ideas. I'm a big person on when Eric and I first talked about getting this reentry council started for like the 5 counties in this part of the eastern region of the state. We didn't want to just be a council where we just meet, and it's important that we meet and network and talk about what's going on in our different organizations and resources, but also I'm just a very much like, what's the problem and how do we fix it? I think that comes from my mom had of having 5 kids, but I want to be a council where we're actually doing things too, and we're making a difference for people that are impacted by reentry and helping them just kind of bridge that gap of from being incarcerated and back into the general population and back into society. One of the things I wanted to update on is, so I had my own children have been impacted by having a family member or having a parent that's been incarcerated currently, and in the process of helping a lot of people who are reentering, sometimes I feel like the kids are forgotten about that are impacted by having a parent that has been incarcerated or is currently incarcerated. And I felt like we needed something in our area to kind of help get them, a place where they can talk, because it's not something that, at times they can feel embarrassed, and it's something they don't feel openly or feel comfortable openly just telling anyone. So something where a safe place for them where they can go and talk. So I reached out to our local family support center coordinator, Kalia Barr in Hardy County, and talked to her about, it's called Crush. And is it Kentucky, Krisha, where it's going? And so can you tell them a little bit about Crush? And I'm trying to get that started up in our area.
So Crush is Crush with a K. It's Kids Rising Up Through Support and Healing. And it was started in an intermediate school, so third, fourth, and fifth grade. And the school counselor who is justice impacted or justice involved, and another school assistant person whose son is justice impacted. They started this program to help families and specifically to help kids, because there's these kids, just don't get the same opportunities that everybody else does. So they have a full curriculum. The kids go through these programs. It is part of a club. So on club day, these kids meet for this club, and it's by invitation only, and they don't need to share what this club is about. So it is specifically for them. They meet in the classroom. I did my school counseling practicum with them, and I've helped with their summer camps and stuff. And it's just such an amazing resource that these kids have this opportunity to be with other kids that are in the same situation as them. They're with a school counselor and with another school helper who knows what it's like. So it's very, it's great. They have their wish jar, and then they have their worry jar, and they can just talk about things freely. And to hear the kids, I remember one that was saying, I got all this birthday money and I hid it in the trash can and mommy accidentally threw it away. Well, that crushes me, because this kid doesn't understand what probably really happened to that money. But we just were there to talk with them and give them the experiences. We did summer camps with them. So we had petting zoos and water balloon fights and food donated every day for lunch. And we got journals for them. We did tie-dye t-shirts, all kinds of stuff. Just because summer camp needs to happen for everybody. And if we could provide that, and so the school system believed in it so much that he took it from just that one school of third, fourth, and fifth grade, and now has it in every school in his district. So it's pretty amazing what they're doing, and they do teach the curriculum out. So I will. I've been meaning to text them. I just haven't gotten there yet. But I want to ask them if they will present to all of the councils in maybe like June and July when they're out of school, so that they can, tell us what all their program is and to help bring it over into West Virginia. So, and yes, thank you, Catherine, for dropping crushprogram.org in there. So Christy and Jelena are just amazing. And like I said, they kind of took me under their wing when I was doing my curriculum or my practicum hours. I can't say enough.
I went on the website after we talked and looked at everything, and then Kalia actually sent them a message to chat back and forth to kind of make connections. But that kind of, if anybody has ideas of how, because I think this is a need. I know from my personal experience with my children and their fathers, my ex-husband, talking to them and just kind of being the observer and getting feedback from everything, it affects them. And it also, it's part of the reentry process, because you worry about your kids, and, there's a lot of guilt associated with, that they've put them through. this, and that's something that can be detrimental to their recovery process. So if there's some way that we can help, I know part of our grant, but part of what I see over the years of doing this is the families are impacted too, and the families need help as much as the individual that's reentering. So I think one of the things that maybe we could do as a coalition, a council, is try to figure out, because there's plenty, you guys are all here, there's resources out there to help families. I would love it if we could come together and be more of a support to families who are dealing with the whole reentry, because it affects the whole family. It's not just one person. So if you guys have any ideas, if a light bulb goes off and you think, hey, let's start this like subcommittee of trying to help families, please reach out to me, or Krisha or Eric or something, because I see the need, but I'm not really sure. I mean, Crush is one part of it, but there's so much more I think that we could do.
And I just dropped in, Sesame Street has a character whose parent was incarcerated. So there's a whole Sesame Street toolkit for that very young group of kids. So I dropped that over in the chat as well.
Awesome.
Catherine, I'm sorry. One of the things that I think that I just want to say is I'm on the Opioid Restitution Fund Committee for Mineral County. And one of the things that we're looking at is the children, youth, as for part of the funding, for spending some of the funding. And I would just remind everyone else that from other counties that is something that is around, the opioid restitution dollars, and definitely talk to your people that are handling that money to see how they're spending it, because if there's cost associated with these kind of things, that is one area that it can and should, in my opinion, be used at. So just kind of FYI, it's one of our focuses. So we've been looking at curriculums and such as well across the board.
Awesome. Yeah. So further discussion on that, hopefully in the future, and maybe we can get things rolling and get things happening. So, nobody feels left behind, nobody feels left out, because sometimes I feel like this is a service we don't offer enough of, but it's impacting everybody. So, the other thing too is, so we're trying to work with Potomac Highlands Regional Jail. With one of the counselors there is going to be starting a reentry group with individuals to kind of help them prepare, which Krisha, that checklist that came out from you guys, I sent that to her and she was like, this is awesome. I'm just kind of trying to prepare them, mostly people who are like 3 months from being released, kind of prepare them before they get out of, do you have all of the things you need when you get out? And do you have like your social security card, your birth certificate, those things? Are you prepared? And one of the things I talked to her about, because she was picking our brains about what do they need, and I said, 2 things I see that they could use a lot of help with from a therapy point of view is, pacing themselves, because you guys have probably experienced this and know exactly what I'm talking about. When you first get out, or when you're first in recovery, I know from substance use, but when you first get out, there's all this, it's like a New Year's resolution. I'm out and I'm going to save the world. And then 2 months later, you've hit 5 or 6 different bumps in the road and you're ready to throw the towel in. So that's one of the things I told her was, help them understand that there's going to be bumps in the road and it's a marathon, not a sprint. They have to pace themselves. It's not all going to happen in a month or 2. It's going to be baby steps. And then the other thing was helping them with self-advocacy and soft skills, because, it's intimidating to call your probation officer if you've been incarcerated, because you don't know how that call's going to go. And a lot of times they don't feel comfortable advocating for themselves, even like making a call to the DHHR. So, that's something that she's trying to develop. But if you guys have feedback or any ideas of things that would be helpful, that maybe she could work into that group that she's going to be doing with them in the jail, please reach out to me. That would be really helpful too. And that's just 2 things I wanted to talk about. or kind of let you guys know what was going on. Does anybody else have updates or things that you would like to talk about?
Hey there, I'm Deb. I'm from Disability Rights of West Virginia, but something that the last speaker said made me think of something. I saw recently a presentation on helping folks advocate for individuals in recovery. And let me see if I can remember what that is. And if I find it before we're done, I can drop it in the chat. I think it was WVU Medicine's Project Echo for CPS, but let me see if I can find it and I'll try to drop it in. If not, it's on YouTube if somebody else wants to see if they can find it. All right, thanks.
I love that. And where did you say you found it, or?
WVU Medicine is doing a Project Echo and they have a bunch of different ones going on, but they
Okay.
have one that's CPS. And so this presentation was part of that series. I'm trying to see if I could find it before we get done. So I'm going to try to find that. If not, Krisha, you're the new person who runs all this stuff, right? Let me see if I can find it, if I can get it to you and you can send it to folks. Is that an okay plan?
Absolutely, yes. If anybody has anything that they want to send out to the group, mine is like the very first information in the chat. Just send it to me and I'll get anything sent out that you want.
Great, I'll work on that. Thank you.
Advocacy is a big thing. I know we go and advocate a lot at the Capitol, to our local legislators, to parole, probation, judges, prosecuting attorneys, just anybody that'll basically listen about, you know, criminal justice reform, reentry, what it is like to be somebody in reentry, and how difficult it is. That's why Ashley Lowe has a reentry simulator that I know when I went to the Capitol and was talking to our local legislator, he said, I never realized how difficult it was to reenter until I went through that reentry simulator. I think that should be something that anybody that's involved with somebody that's justice impacted should have to go through. So if you've never lived through it, you know what it's like. But we need to get more people who are impacted by entry, who have re-entered, to advocate, to be able to feel comfortable to speak up, because there's security in numbers. And at the Capitol, they don't want to hear from lobbyists. They hear from them all the time. They want to hear from real people who are the voters, because that's what impacts them. They want to hear from them. So helping those people feel confident enough to say, you know, I deserve to be counted. I deserve to have a voice, because they feel very much like they don't have a right to have a voice. They feel very sometimes stigmatized and pushed down. So that's another thing, like just helping them know it's okay to say, giving them a voice of their own and not just speaking for them. And here, yes, I have been inviting people. I've been inviting the people we work with. I'm like, come to the meeting. So they can, you can tell people the things that you tell me when we're in our one-on-one meetings. Thank you, Deborah. So that's all I got. I'll shut up now. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to try to just take the train and run down the track.
I have a question. So has anyone heard, I'm trying to find it now, that House bill, wasn't that supposed to, about the IDs being released? I haven't heard anything.
Yes, I talked to our local legislator yesterday because it was, hold on, I'm going to pull up his text message. It was over in the House Education Committee. It passed the House, but no, sorry, it passed the House, but it looks like it's in the Senate has it's stuck in committee. If it doesn't get reported out of the Senate Transportation and Infrastructure Committee today, it effectively is dead.
And that was
So-
yesterday or today?
That was yesterday.
Do you remember the House bill number?
Yes, it was
56.
5565. So haven't heard since then. I don't know if it didn't make it out, then it's dead. But I'll try to find out.
It didn't make it out.
It didn't.
Mm-mm.
And see, that was the bill to make the DCR get them their ID before they got released. Because, that state or the DCR issued ID is only good for 190 days. And a lot of times it's kind of good for nothing because it can't get you a lot of the things that you need when you're reentering.
I had high hopes for that. I really thought it was gonna make it.
Well, I know our local legislator, Brian Ward, was really pushing for it, and his last comment was, I'm going over there to try to twist some arms, so in the Senate, but maybe next time.
Catherine, is there, I know, I'm sorry, just thinking about like legislation and advocacy and all of that. Is there a group across the state with folks you work with, like from the other councils, like a legislative committee or a legislative group that everyone gets together, especially during session or prior to session, to really look at bills and really advocate as a unit, all of us that are in the field and seeing all this happen? Is there anything like that that is currently happening? Not lobbying, not lobbyists, I should say, but people like us who live and work in West Virginia and expect better from our politicians.
Yeah, there actually is. And Bev Sharp, who is over the reentry councils, does a lot of advocacy. WAVOP, I think is how you say it, West Virginia Association of Addiction and Prevention. I'm probably saying that wrong. Joe Deegan is kind of like their lead. They have, I think it was in January. It was either January or was this month that we went to the state capitol. They had a recovery advocacy day. And part of that was focused on reentry. But then there's also, I know Bev, and there are some people who go to the Capitol constantly just to talk about this bill's a good bill, this bill's a bad bill, this is what we need to see. They advocate to DCR as well, the top administration of the DCR. They also have a criminal justice reform summit in November where you can get with a lot of people and everybody pitches their ideas of this is what we need to present at this coming session. So last year they went to the Capitol, and that was the coalition of families of incarceration. Families of incarcerated individuals. I might be saying that wrong. But yes, there are several that are.
Okay.
And I think they're making a difference because they're starting to listen to things that they never listened to before. And I can tell from working with DCR, there have been things that they will do now that they never would do before. It's snail pace. They move at the like it's not happening fast enough though. But yeah, there are. If you would like me to share that, and Krisha probably has a lot of that information too that she could share.
Bev is the authority on going to the Capitol and whoever, I don't know how she keeps track of all of the committees that she sits on. So, and what's the funny thing is, that she is there in West Virginia advocating for all these things, but she and I live in Kentucky, so we can't actually vote.
I feel you. I live in West Virginia, work in Maryland
Yeah.
and West Virginia. And when they I'm on a standing advisory committee for the governor. I had to get a special permission since I live in West Virginia. It's crazy, but it affects across the borders. So that's the thing. So yeah.
I know the one thing that I always hear from legislators or from anybody that's like the policymakers is, well, what are they doing? What's working in other states? What are they doing in other states? And I was just honest with our local legislator last time, and I said, we were talking about technical violations, and I said, well, you don't want to hear what they're doing in other states because a lot of it is reform, you know, of probation and parole, and you're not going to like that answer. So, but we are very kind of common, just very candid with them, like this is what they are doing in other states, and it's, you know, statistics show it's working. But yeah, they can't silence us. I always tell I tell the people we work with, they can't eat you.
Exactly.
Does anybody have anything else you want to share or talk about?
If anyone needs help finding out, and you got, I mean, everyone in this room's connected, but if by chance you don't know who's taking care of your opioid settlement money, let me know and I can help you find out. But seriously, tap into those people, because it's people like me. I'm on the Mineral County, it's called Mineral County First because it's West Virginia first, and then we just adopted Mineral County First as the name. But there's money to be had, and there's money that hopefully isn't going to pay off the jail bill from 10 years ago. And we're able to influence some of those decisions. In the end, it's the commissioners that get to decide, but they're going with our recommendations, hopefully. But you know, I definitely don't forget about that if you're advocating or leaning into trying to find some funding for anything. But be active in finding out what they're doing, because there's plenty of money coming to West Virginia.
Yeah, there is. And they work for us. I mean, it's our tax dollars that pay. I think we forget that sometimes. You know, they're people too, and they work for us. I mean, they're supposed to be our voice. So,
And a
you
lot
know,
of times they just don't even understand what's happening. I mean, that's the truth. They're so removed from reality of what happens with substance use and re-entry and recovery and treatment that they just need to be informed to understand what the issues are. I didn't mean to cut you off, Catherine, but
no.
I mean, that's part of the biggest problem.
Yeah. And when you talk to people that work in the DCR system, they're equally as frustrated as the people who are impacted by the criminal justice system, because they see, and but their hands are tied too. It's I remember I had someone at one of the DCR facilities tell me, are we punitive or are we really rehabilitative? Because we're not doing a very good job of trying to be both. And that really stuck with me, because I thought, yeah, I mean, are we? We're just running circles around ourselves. So at ground zero, whether it's somebody impacted by the system or it's someone in the system, working in the system, they all feel it and they all see that there needs to be change. So we can't give up. We have to just keep standing up and talking. And like this, councils across the state, you know, coming together, what we're doing today. And I just want to thank you guys for being on here. And if you know somebody that would be, you know, a stakeholder, that this is something that they're passionate about too, please invite them to the next meeting, which is April. I'm trying to look at my calendar. April 4th. And it's always at 10 o'clock. And Krisha sends out a reminder like a couple of days before and then the day of. So please invite people to come so that we can kind of build this and start taking action and make some change in our specific area, because in our region there's still a lot of stigma. And it's going to take all of us just speaking up saying, hey, this is not okay. What can we do to do better? And how can we help these people? Because they really do want to change. They want their life to be thriving, not just surviving. And I don't know, Eric's still helping with this crisis, so. Anything else, Krisha? Did I
I
ramble? I'm a rambler
Oh,
sometimes.
you did good. Welcome back. And so I just want to, again, thank everyone for doing this. Catherine, I will send you the saved chat, and I will put the recording up on our YouTube channel so you can go back and if anybody just wants information and wants to rewatch it, it's out there.
Just real quick, I'm sorry, I keep talking.
No, that's why we're here.
I put in the chat a link to the Syndemic Summit, which is coming up in May at the Greenbrier. I'm sure probably some of you are aware of it, but it's held by Community Education Group is sponsoring it. So I just put the link in there. I think it's going to be super informative, and I don't make any money by saying this, but I just think it's all about Appalachia and the struggles that we have. So just put it in there if anyone's interested.
Thanks, Melissa. Also, I don't have the link for it, but on the next meeting, I will find it and make sure I put it in the chat. Or I'll send it to Christian. Maybe she can send it out. There's a Justice Reform Summit coming up in June, right? At West Virginia Wesleyan College.
I'm working on planning that. It is the oh my gosh, Restorative Justice Conference. So that will be June. It's the Friday and Saturday. So I think the 14th and 15th. I think. So it will be at West Virginia Wesleyan. We are going to open registration for it on March 16th. So after that, watch for emails to get registered for that.
And if you haven't been to a summit, you need to go, because that's where you'll meet the people who feel as passionate about reentry as you do. And you'll learn so much information, and you'll feel like it'll empower you. So I'll give you that little burst, like, so your train can keep chugging along, because I know this work can sometimes be very discouraging.
Hey, could you repeat the dates on that? June 14th, 15th?
I think so. It's whatever the Friday, Saturday is.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it will be all day Friday, all day Saturday. At this point, we have like 30 some presenters, so it will go all day, both days.
Awesome. I'm excited. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month. Invite a friend. Bye.